Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Wheel Talk, the podcast with a guy in a wheelchair and a girl in a wheelchair.
I'm the girl. Just in case nobody knew.
You never know these days.
You never know these days. So
we could be identifying opposite
exactly, right? How are you?
I'm very well, thanks, Brittany. I'm very well. It's been an odd day, like not stressful, but I'm decluttering because I'm moving out, and do you ever feel like it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back? Like you pull everything out to put it into a pile of keep, recycle, throw away, maybe, someone else will want that. And
Uh-oh. Are you coming back? Fred's totally frozen. I'm going to predict what he was going to say. Piles of giveaway, keep. Would somebody else want that?
Sorry,
you're back.
I'm back in the room. I was on my bloody intermittent Starlink again.
Oh, that's okay.
Now
I was like,
I'm on my phone.
Okay. Go for it then. I was trying to predict what your sentence was, finishing your sentence. With the piles of giveaway and all that.
Yeah. Like what? And then you end up getting all the stuff out of the cupboard, and then you end up putting most of it back, and then you sort of realize what you've been holding on to for all these years, and the stuff that you're unwilling to part with. For example, this jumper, haven't worn it in ages. I was like, that's definitely going. And then I put it on. I was like, oh, why haven't I worn this? I love this jumper, but I haven't worn it in probably 2 years. And then I don't want to get rid of it because my girlfriend's like, oh, that looks good on you. You should wear that more. And I'm like, yeah, I probably should. So it's like a weird, I don't know. You ever and the absolute stuff you accumulate when you've lived somewhere for a long time, and then when you've got to downsize, you've got to be ruthless,
Yeah, I remember moving from an apartment to a house that had a basement and being like, how are we ever going to fill up this place? Like, we don't have enough furniture. And then after however many years, I'm like, every closet is filled to the brim, and we have more couches than we sit on and more beds. And I'm just like, oh my God. And I have more electronics cords that we're keeping for whatever reason. And in my closet, I have computer boxes, just in case we ever have to send them back, even though I've had the computer for 7 years. It's just, it's bad.
Yeah, it is good. I was asking ChatGPT for advice. I was like, where do I start? Because, I was like, my girlfriend's coming over to help me, and I want to have a plan in place. I don't want to just be, her. Yeah. So it was like, start with the things that you definitely don't want, and it gave me some really cool questions to ask yourself. Like, do I use this regularly? If you haven't used it in a year, it's probably not essential. Would I buy this again today? And I was like, that's such a good question. Would I buy this again today? And there's so many things I answered no to, but still kept anyway, because I'm an idiot. Is this item improving my life or just taking up space? And then, does this item hold sentimental value, or am I just used to having it around? So, yeah, I was asking myself some tough questions. And that was just really the clothing and the cupboard. And there's so many boxes of just, why am I even still holding on to this? And then all of a sudden, the stuff that you're unwilling to part with, I don't know, even though you haven't used it for a long time, it's interesting. And then you put, you feel like you've made loads of progress, but then you put it all back in the cupboard and you're like, oh, you've got bags of stuff that are going to the tip or to the recycling, but it still looks the same. And you're like, oh, yeah.
I think it's a hard thing to try and get rid of some things, because even though you use them infrequently, they are very valuable. There's some cooking things that I don't use that often, but when I do use them, they're awesome. I have a KitchenAid mixer that's a professional one. And I don't really use it that often, but if I am doing baking bread or something where I can't really knead it, or it takes forever, then it's worth the time it takes to grab it and pull it out and all that stuff. So I think there's some infrequently used items that are still really valuable. But I went through a Marie Kondo phase. I don't know if you know who she is, but she's the queen of clean, and the queen of decluttering, I guess. And she's got like this whole thing about like the energy in your space, and the stuff that you keep in there actually like bogs down your energy. And so my closet is all organized like that. My medical supplies are all organized Marie Kondo style, so I can just grab individual things. I never keep my catheters in boxes or anything like that. So I've like really overhauled like my closet, primarily just my closet. And it's so functional. Like, it's amazing. And I wish I could just do that with the rest of my life. I just don't know how to implement it because my office is disgusting. Like, it just gets so messy. Like, every part of my desk is covered. So I don't know how it gets out of whack, but it just does.
Yeah, it does. It does. James is saying, tell us about the new place, Fred. Well, so I'm actually going to currently I'm moving in with my girlfriend because we figured that she's got a wheelchair accessible place that is pet friendly, which is what we're looking for, right? However, it's a lot smaller than this place. Ideally, we'd both move into this place because it's a lot roomier, a lot more practical for two people. But we came to the realization that if we just decluttered our life, and I thought it was like a really good opportunity to spring clean, your life, just declutter, get rid of lots of stuff, and we would save an absolute fortune. I'd personally be saving at least 700 euros a month by moving in there. And then I thought, what do I want to do with that? Do I want to, save loads of money for the future, or do I just want to work less and just enjoy the glorious days of our lives, while we're relatively young and happy? So I don't know, but just having like less overheads puts a lot less stress on you financially. And so it just kind of like, we couldn't really find anywhere. And then the more we spoke about it, the more we were like, yeah, I mean, we could do. And then it kind of like feels like now it's happening. And we're making tough decisions. Like, for example, my girlfriend has a big TV with a big cabinet that the TV sits on and a PlayStation. And I was like, look, we never play the PlayStation. We definitely never watch the TV. Why don't we just get rid of the whole thing? And she was like, what? Like, but I love my PlayStation. And I was like, yeah, but when is the last time you played it? She was like, well, I don't know, but I don't want to get rid of it. And I'm like, well, it would save a lot of room. And like I say, any time we ever watch Netflix, we watch it on the laptop. And she was like, well, I guess we could. And I'm like, why not? Like, I feel like having, I want to watch less screens anyway. So having a big screen that we don't watch anyway, it just feels like a silly, big, expensive ornament. So like, let's get rid of it. And like making those decisions together is quite nice, and yeah, I don't know. It's good.
I think also changing your physical environment to match what habits you're actually striving to like achieve and stay consistent with is helpful, because if you have a TV, then you're more likely to want to watch it. If you have junk food in the pantry or the fridge, you're going to want to eat it. Jamie and I are like on this book reading thing because I was showing her how much her screen time has increased because I let go of the reins on it. Because before I had like half an hour a day of TikTok and half an hour of YouTube, and then I let that go. And I was just sort of letting her do her thing. And then she was using a lot of screen time. So I was like, Jamie, this is what you're actually doing. And she was like, whoa, that's a lot. So then I helped her like set some guidelines for that. But I restricted her phone time because I have control over her phone on my phone. But then we started getting tons of books from the library. And now we're just like reading all these books because they're around. And because I get them from the library, there's a timeline. You can only keep them for 3 weeks. So you have to read these books in 3 weeks' time. So we're like trying to build the like environmental habits that support the ones that we actually are trying to achieve. So I think getting rid of the TV is good. And I have lots of friends that actually just use projectors. Like Jamie has a projector in her room when she wants to watch the TV. She just projects it on her wall, takes up no space whatsoever. And you just have to have a blank wall in your house. And my friend does that because he doesn't watch TV ever. And when he does want to watch it, he just has a projector and he just like lays in bed and projects it on his roof.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah, that's good. Like we were in two minds because I've actually got a bigger TV, which it's not even plugged in. It hasn't been plugged in for ages. We were like, well, we either bring the bigger TV and we can set up the Apple TV and we can watch Netflix on a big screen, or we just get rid of it, and she was like, well, I suppose we could. And and like she's got an old PlayStation anyway, so like no new, if any new games come out, like they're not going to be released on PlayStation 2, you know what I mean? So
No.
it's just like a thing that like she is struggling to get rid of, but I think it's the idea, really. I think like practically it makes perfect sense. And like you say, you want to replace the environment with the habits you want to do more of, the habits you want to encourage. And yeah, I think not having a TV again, like it's we never watch it anyway, so I think it's a no-brainer really to get rid of it.
Yeah, I think what we really actually need is very little. Like it's so much less than what we think we actually need. Because when it comes down to it, if you went somewhere for like a month and you brought, however much was in your suitcase, you'd survive. And if your house burnt down and half the stuff in it got, destroyed, you'd survive. Even pictures and stuff. Like I remember my grandma when she was like, maybe like a year before she died, she was just like, I don't want any of the pictures. She's like, I love my kids. I love my grandkids. I love my great grandkids. But she was like, the memories live in my head. And she's like, the more present I am with my family, the better memories I make and the more vivid they are. And she's like, I just don't need a picture and I just don't need the clutter and the boxes and all of that stuff. So my grandma was not a picture person at all. And I think about that all the time because I'm like, do I look at the pictures? Every once in a while I do, especially if it's like Google pictures that shows me a memory. I'm like, oh, that's cute. But I don't look at pictures. I don't do anything with pictures. I take them. They live on my phone. I have to find places to store them. Then I'm changing hard drives and it's just annoying. So yeah, well, how much do we really need? Not that much.
Exactly. When you were talking about that, it made me think about, do you know Matt Diavella, the YouTuber? He is, oh no, I mentioned him before, the guy who doesn't wash his jeans. He had, when he first started doing YouTube, he was like really into minimalism. And it really influenced me a lot. And it influenced me the way I dressed because I just wear the same thing every day. It makes my life so much easier to just wear the same thing every day. I've got like a certain brand of t-shirt that fits me very well. And that had a really big influence on me. I was like, oh, wow, yeah, that sounds great. So that's part of the reason why I haven't been wearing like this, because I have loads of t-shirts that are exactly the same. You probably have recognized the style of t-shirt that are just in a few different colors. And I wear them all the time. And then when I went through my clothes, my girlfriend was like, oh my God, that looks amazing on you. You should wear that more often. And I'm like, oh, maybe I should. But in fact, I kind of want to go back down the Matt Diavella minimalism rabbit hole because it will encourage me to get rid of like stuff that I'm holding on to, because he had a really big influence on me. Isn't it weird how when someone has like a very engaging channel, they can really influence you on your opinion on stuff? And I'm like, oh yeah, you know what? I think I do want to be a minimalist. And I think that will really help me let go of my things.
I actually love YouTubers that encourage that stuff, or even any successful individual that encourages minimalism and like reduces the amount of like mindless consumerism that exists now. I hate it so much. And I fall totally prey to it a lot when I go to like the mall or something, like, oh, that's cute. That's cute. I'm going to buy that. But there's so many times that I buy something that doesn't fit right, or I'm just like, this is dumb. So half the time I shop at like Goodwill or a thrift store or like a secondhand store, I buy something that's been washed 400 times and hasn't lost its shape and is soft and comfortable. And then I don't feel so bad if, it kind of wears out or whatever. I'm not putting something I'm saving something from the landfill. And yeah, I just think that there's so much mindless consumerism, and especially like the fashion makeup industry, and it's feeding into this thing for young girls that you have to have this cute pair of shoes and all of these like 47 makeup products. I just went to a dermatologist with Jamie, and he was like, stop going to no girl needs to go to Sephora. He's like, you need a cleanser, a moisturizer, and a sunscreen. 3 things. He's like, everything else is some asshole trying to sell you something and spend your parents' money. So don't listen to them. And she was like, all right. Like, and I was like, oh my God, that's awesome. Because most doctors are like, you need this cream and that cream and this everything. And he was just like, you don't. He's like, everything that you need for your skin was invented 100 years ago and it's still on the drugstore shelves. So stop buying stuff that's expensive. And it's true, really.
Yeah. Amazing. Do you think it's harder to be a minimalist when you have a disability?
In terms of medical waste, yes. I think that we have a lot of waste, but I also think that that is an opportunity for us to not be wasteful in other areas of our life. Sometimes it's hard in the area that you live in because Canada is decreasingly good at like recycling, especially where I live. Like you can't recycle so many things of glass, and like so there's so much crap I put in the garbage that you just can't recycle here. And so I think that makes it a little bit difficult, but I try very hard not to waste things. Like I wash Ziploc bags and things like that I'm like, you can use it 5 times before it's bad. But yes, I think it's harder to be a minimalist when you have a disability because I think there's so much junk that we need, not junk. It's actual like medical stuff, but we can't do anything about it.
So when Matt Diavella was talking about minimalism, he's like downsizing on the things that you own. And I've got 3 wheelchairs. Now, if I had 3 bikes, that might sound a lot, right? But because I've got 3 wheelchairs, I'm very reluctant to get rid of any of them because they've got their purpose. I've got one that I go down to the lake on because, like, if I go next to the lake and I'm on the boat and I'm sort of, you know, I don't know if a dickhead steals my wheelchair while I'm out on the lake, it's okay because it's not my everyday wheelchair. You know, that's the one I take to the lake. It's the one that my free wheel fits on. You know, it's just, that's got its purpose. My other wheelchair goes on the bike, you know, and what if I go riding on the bike and it gets dirty, that's the outdoor wheelchair. It's like getting someone to be like, hey, pick your favorite pair of shoes. And that's the only pair of shoes you're allowed. So I can't get rid of all my wheelchairs. I'm very reluctant to get rid of any of my wheelchairs because they all serve a purpose. But you know, when you're tasked with like, oh, minimalism, it's like, for an able-bodied person, minimalism is a lot easier, I think. And also, you know, with the catheters, I've got boxes of catheters, but I'm like, well, I need my catheters. Like, you know, I use them every day. And there's loads of medical supplies and just different sort of things that makes it harder to be minimalist. I definitely think I could be more minimalist than I am, but certainly not like, oh, you know, I don't even have a couch. I just sit on the floor. I'm like, no, I need a couch to sit on, you know?
Yeah. I definitely think it's harder to be minimalist. Like I have so many wheelchairs too. It's ridiculous. And everything has its purpose. I have like a scooter attachment for my wheelchair. And then I have a hand cycle and I have, you know, like all these different things that have their own purpose. And even thinking about like getting a hand cycle like yours that attaches to my bike, I don't want to get rid of my other hand cycle because it's low to the ground and it's easier to ride. And it's very like ergonomic and aerodynamic and stuff like that. So I'm like, if I'm going on like a long ride, I want to be in the one that's like that. If I want my wheelchair where I go, then I want one that attaches to my wheelchair. So there's like different things that I think we have to have in order to have some semblance of a quality of life that allows us to do the activities with the able-bodied people or as close to as we can. And yeah, I think we just have to accept that. One thing I haven't done though is like get into having a wheelchair for outside and stuff like that, which I should. I just don't have enough room in my garage or anywhere really to keep my other wheelchair that I think it wouldn't be in the way. But yeah, I definitely hate that my wheels get dirty and then I have to come in the house and clean them off. And I probably wasted so much of my life by not having an outdoor wheelchair.
Yeah. But then that's the thing when you're decluttering and downsizing and moving to a smaller place, you're like, oh, yeah, if you've got like the room, I think you should have 10 wheelchairs, you know, like one for every day of the week. It would be fantastic. But if you don't have the room, you've got to make some hard choices. Anyway, I want to move away from this subject. I wanted to talk about the carnivore diet and how you've inspired me to eat more meat. In fact, eat exclusively meat. In fact, if it ain't meat, you don't eat. So yeah, I've started since yesterday. Yesterday I had minced beef with fried eggs, and then today I had 5 eggs with a bit of cheese. And that's all I've had to eat today, to be honest. So I'm not as hungry, but yeah, it's very, very, very early days. But you inspired me because, well, number one, you said Joe lost a load of weight and now he's looking like slender and buff. And I was like, well, I could do a bit of that. And then also the other benefits that you said were part of the diet, you know, and also convinced Chris to do it as well. So she's in it with me. So I went shopping the other day and it was very weird. You know, I just had beef, chicken and eggs. And I was like, well, that's it. And that was all I went to and I was like, well, it's weird. Like rolling past the fruit and veg and be like, no, thanks. It felt very, very odd just buying that stuff. But we're going to do it for 2 weeks, and we're going to report back with any benefits or any pros and cons. And yeah, I'm feeling pretty excited about it.
Yeah, I think it's a worthy experiment. I think any diet change that promises some sort of benefits and allows your digestive system to take a little bit of a break from the really fibrous vegetables that it's used to having to digest is like a worthy experiment. Do I think that it's like a long-term thing? I don't think so, but I also think that changing up our diet here and there is a good thing, because Joe did the carnivore diet for like a solid month. He lost a ton of weight, and then he was like plateauing and just really plateauing. And then he started eating carbohydrates again. He lost a couple pounds again. So I think like your body, once you kind of teach it to use other types of food and energy sources, it gets better at adapting and using whatever you give it. Yeah, I think it's just metabolic flexibility, really. And if you don't ever give your body the chance to try and digest something, or, make ketones, because the carnivore diet is primarily a keto diet, then yeah, I don't know. One thing I do want to recommend for you, though, is that like you're probably going to be thirsty, and you should like do like electrolytes of some kind, like just even adding extra salt, because when you are just eating meat, your body uses electrolytes a lot faster. And so you just have to be a little bit more cognizant of how much salt you're using and stuff. Would you actually have to use more salt when you're on the carnivore diet, just so that you don't dehydrate yourself? And you're getting rid of like a lot of water in your body that would normally be stored with glycogen, and glycogen is like a storage form of carbohydrates in your muscles and stuff. And when you're on a carnivore keto diet, that kind of gets depleted. And for every gram of glycogen, there's a gram of water stored. So you lose a lot of water. So just make sure you're drinking water, make sure that you're adding lots of salt. And if you want to get an electrolyte, packet and drink that once a day, then do that. And it'll make it a lot easier.
Thanks.
But yeah, I'm excited to hear how it goes. I'm really surprised that you got Chris on board, because I was like, I am not giving up fruit. I can give up vegetables, but I was like, I don't want to give up fruit. It was like a hard sell, and I don't know that I could do it. I don't know.
Yeah, well, it's temporary. I have a few questions for you. Well, I know that you didn't do the carnivore diet, but I know that Joe did, and I imagine he gets the exact same questions as I got. Like, why are you doing that for? Like, that doesn't sound very healthy. Like, surely you need your vegetables. And I'm like, yeah, no, I get that. Like, but I'm just doing it temporarily. I'm just doing it for 2 weeks to see how it feels, to see if I, because apparently whenever everyone touts a diet as like the elixir of life, some sort of panacea that's going to, cure all ailments, I get very skeptical. But also there's loads of people that said that it's done wonders for them. So I'm like, yeah, I'll try it. But when people challenge the diet, I'm not like equipped to like defend it. I'm like, hey, I'm just doing it temporarily, like they've got so many like, you need your vegetables, and I'm like, all right, hey, I know that, but I'm only doing it temporarily. I'm assuming that Joe probably got the same, like, what are you doing that for, kind of thing. He
did. He definitely got a lot of like, are you worried about your cholesterol and like all of that stuff? And I think that's like, fair for sure, because what we're told in conventional like science or nutritional science is that vegetables are more nutrient dense, which is actually, I have a certification in nutrition. Vegetables are not nutrient dense. If you look at them like and how much nutrients are in like a gram of the food, they are way less nutrient dense than like meat, because meat just has more nutrients in it, nutrients and calories. But like with anything, it's balance, I think. And people who eat a strictly carnivore diet, they have to be intentional about what they're eating, and they have to generally eat organ meats, because those have a lot of vitamins in them that you wouldn't be getting in just muscle meats. And people who are eating a lot of vegetables and not eating a lot of meat have to be very intentional about what they're eating too, so that they can get all of the nutrients. But yeah, we're told a lot that vegetables are more nutrient dense, and they're not. You have to eat a lot a lot higher volume of vegetables in order to get the same nutrients. So I think it's just what we see all the time. We see on the food pyramid that we're supposed to be eating lots of vegetables and less meat. And a lot of it is kind of flawed science, honestly, that we're now realizing is wrong. And it's just taken a really long time to educate people about that. So yeah, it's fair.
Yeah.
I think people are worried about you, but it's more acceptable to go vegan than it is to go carnivore. So
yeah, it's so funny. It's such a kick in the dick to vegans. It's like, for every animal you save, I'm gonna eat 2.
yeah, I know. It's a very hard like, and it's not even an argument, but the notion that no living things die for plant-based eaters is such a lie. Like, if you are tilling soil, mice, like all the like rodents that live in the ground, they die, all that stuff. So you're wrecking habitat for what would be deer and all that stuff. So you're not killing necessarily more animals, you're just eating them.
Yeah, and they're delicious.
They are delicious and nutrient dense, and you have to be able to like be thankful for it, right? Like, I think there's a bit of gratitude for the sacrifice, I guess, that other living things make for our sustenance, whether you're a vegan or a carnivore.
Absolutely, you're absolutely right. And on the subject of gratitude, I want to say a big thank you and a warm welcome to all my new Patreon members. I really appreciate you guys that have come over to the Patreon. I put a video on there this week talking about the things that I was grateful for. Like I said, I would, on the last podcast, I said I would give an example of what I write about in my gratitude journal. And I gave an example of a really cool magic trick that I performed, and I got like the best reaction ever. And yeah, I really appreciate it. I'm actually probably going to do a giveaway on my Patreon as well. I've got a bag that I think we could talk about this actually. I've got a bag. It's by Phoenix Instinct. It's one of these ones with the omnidirectional wheels, and like you sort of drag it behind your wheelchair. It's meant to be really, really good. In full disclosure, I want to be careful with my words here. I don't like it very much at all. That's why I'm going to give it away. It was actually very, very expensive. But I just thought, why wouldn't I give it to someone who probably will use it? It's a decent bag. There's loads of things I don't like about it. We can talk about that if you want. I think it's a great technology. But yeah, if you go over and join my Patreon, like I say, it's completely free to join. I am trying to like get more engagement over there, and I really appreciate you, the guys that have gone over to the Patreon. But if you join the Patreon for free, I'm probably going to give it away to someone. You just have to pay for the shipping. But on that subject, we can talk about the bag and how I think it's not very good. I think it's probably an unpopular opinion. A lot of people have been raving about it, but I personally think it's flawed in many ways. But what about you, Brittany?
It's funny that you mentioned this bag on this podcast because at least 3 of my friends have posted pictures of them using it while traveling this week, all women, and everybody's like raving about it in this little group chat I have with a bunch of women across North America in wheelchairs. And I've never bought one just because I much prefer, like we were talking about before we actually jumped on online, that I prefer having my stuff on my lap. It's just easier for me to carry. Yeah. I feel like it's more practical. It's less likely to get stolen. Better. And I just don't want something behind me. I don't know what's happening with it, hauling something like a trailer on my wheelchair. So that's why I've never bought one. I've never tried one. So I, can't actually speak from experience. But those are just like my thoughts on why I've never purchased one. But I do have friends that love it. So I'm curious what you think is, less than ideal about it.
Okay, well, number one, I have had the experience of taking it on holiday and dragging it behind me, and then also just having my suitcase on my lap. And I way prefer having my suitcase on my lap for so many reasons. Like, number one, your turning circle is just normal, right? When you've got this big thing behind you, you're huge. It extends the length of your wheelchair by quite a lot. I know I'm meant to be giving this away, but I want to be honest with you. In fact, I made an absolutely scathing review of it, edited the video, and then I was like, I'm not even going to release that because I didn't feel like it was very fair to like the company that have made quite a lot of products, and I think they're very innovative in the space, and I didn't want to discourage it, but I wanted to be honest. I was like, I just don't like it. The bag is quite poorly made, as in like not poorly made. It's very robust and thick, but I'm like, I'll give you some examples of what I don't like about it. There's some like really weird bits, like this pocket here, like it's got 2 massive zips on it, and it's like, it's tiny. Like what are you even going to put in this pocket?
Yeah.
Like there's some straps here, which I'm like, I'm not even sure what they're even for. Like it doesn't even, there's so many things on the bag that are just really impractical. But I really do get the innovation behind it. Like for someone to make it and be like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if you could, boost around and not have to have it on your lap, and it's got omnidirectional wheels. It's a very, very good idea. But in practice, I just thought I just have my suitcase on my lap. Everywhere I go, if I'm going solo, like on holiday, I get to the airport. What happens as soon as you get to the airport, Brittany? Let me take that bag for you. Oh, brilliant. Amazing. Thank you very much. You get special assistance through the airport. When you have to go somewhere, anyway, you go from the airport to a taxi. Someone's like, oh, do you want me to take that bag for you? Yeah, that'd be great. You get to the hotel. Someone's like, let me take that bag for you. I'm like, amazing. When you get to the hotel and you're wheeling through, you go into the lift. You can't turn around in the lift because you're dragging it around.
Yeah.
I found it way more practical to have my suitcase on my lap. Also, my other suitcase is far bigger. You can fit way more stuff in it. It's lighter. That thing's heavy. I don't know. I don't really like it. Obviously, I'm not doing a great job of selling it, but I'm not selling it. I'm giving it away.
Yeah. And if somebody, they are, good for some people who like them, but I just don't like them. The thing that I actually do is I get a duffel bag. I don't ever use a suitcase. I just don't like hard suitcases. I think they're hard to navigate for me and lift. And I think it's added weight that I don't really need to be lifting. So I get a suitcase or a duffel bag that fits my sliding board in the bottom of it perfectly. And then that makes the bottom solid. And I don't actually use a sliding board ever, but when I'm traveling, I just take it with me in case there's something that I can't get, like close the gap on with the transfer. So I put the sliding board in, and then I fill up my duffel bag with everything. And then I take the actual like arm strap of the duffel bag and I clip it like to the duffel bag. I put it all the way around my wheelchair and I clip it to the other side of it. So the duffel bag is on my lap and it's strapped to my wheelchair. So it's not falling off. So I don't have to worry about like wheeling and, being like, oh, it's going to, bump off of my lap or anything. And then I typically have the duffel bag, and then I have one more bag that I just put on top of the duffel bag. And, I can see pretty well over it while I'm wheeling.
Yeah.
And it just works. It just works well for me. That way I know I don't actually need help. If I have to be alone, and if somebody helps me, great. And yeah, like you said, there's no like massive turning radius or anything like that that is interfering or dragging me down backwards if I'm going like up a ramp or something. Like, no.
Yeah.
So that's, I kind of agree with you. But if you want to try it and you just want to get it for a very good price, then, because they're like very expensive. So the shipping will be massively less than what
That was the other thing that really annoyed me. I was like, you know what? I'm in a wheelchair for life, so I'm going to get myself a good suitcase, and that is my suitcase now for life. And then I was like, it is very expensive. I can't remember how much it was, but I remember thinking this is probably the most expensive suitcase I will ever own, and I paid a lot of money for it. And then I got it, and I was so annoyed at how impractical it was. I was like, Jesus Christ, my other suitcase, I think someone gave it to me for free. I've had it for like 15 years, and it's just again, I'm in a not everyone can like lift their suitcase up and put it on their lap. Like I'm quite strong. I can do that. But I was so annoyed. I was like, God damn it. I've wasted like a lot of money on that suitcase, which I don't like.
I'm trying to figure out how much it is just to see for people. But it is annoying like how much this kind of stuff is. And in the end, not really that practical. I think like getting a lap stacker. I don't know if you know what a lap stacker is.
Yeah.
But having one of those is probably much more valuable than getting a suitcase that you can wheel around with behind your back, because you can use it for so many other things. And you can just have a suitcase on your lap, use the lap stacker to strap the suitcase to your lap, and you're away you go. Even if you have to ask somebody to put it on your lap, like I think that's more practical.
I'll show you one more thing.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and figure out how expensive it is. What was that? Oh, I thought you fell.
the other thing you have to put this bit on your wheelchair. So this is the bit that it clips onto, right? So you put this on your wheelchair, but then I realized that when the wheelchair goes in the hold of the plane, like it's velcroed on, but it's still not like, I wasn't completely confident that it would come back out of the airplane with this on, you know. So that was my personal experience. I know that may not be everyone's experience, but this, you have to like put this bit on your wheelchair, so it's not like, I don't know. I haven't used it, and
that seems like that goes under your seat or what?
Yeah, that goes under your seat cushion and then out the back. So then you've got to take like the upholstery off of your. So even if you're on holiday and you've got to wheel around, you either got to take that off or you got to wheel around with this extra bit sticking out. And I don't know. Anyway, I don't want to bash it too much, but because I think it's still a good one.
It's 533 euros just for the bag, I think.
Yeah, I told you it's expensive.
It's very expensive. And then just the system full set is 533, and then the Phoenix system extra large bag is 263 euros. It's expensive. Like, it's not, and I remember when I was first looking at this, like it was even more expensive. But yeah, I just not practical. There's a lot of things that I think are made for wheelchair users that just aren't practical. There's like a closet system that I've talked about before where the whole like top bar comes down, and you have to have like a giant closet because you have to have enough room for your wheelchair plus enough room for this whole bar to come down. And I'm like, whose closet is that big? And then if you are like, weaker upper body, like my cousin, she has muscular dystrophy. She bought it and she's like, I'm not strong enough to lift that like thing once all the clothes are on it back up because I'm weak. And she's like, so what's the point of it, right?
Yeah.
And so I just think it's like one of those things that people think is like super cool. You have to have a giant walk-in closet or something in order to use it. And it's actually not that practical because it's kind of heavy to lift up and down. And I'm just like, you can just put your clothes lower in the closet, or I use a reacher and then you lift one item up. And you have to have good hand dexterity, but you also have to have decent hand dexterity in order to pull that thing down. So it's not practical for somebody that's like a quadriplegic either, that doesn't have good wrist flexion. So yeah, I just think it's a stupid item that gets sold a lot because people are like, wow, this is so inclusive. And it's like not practical at all. You're like, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, stupid. So I don't know.
On the subject of things that aren't practical, I'll move away from this. Like I say, if you want the chance to win it, just sign up or just message me and say that you want it. I don't know if everyone who signs up for the Patreon really wants it, but on the subject of things that aren't practical, I saw this video. I sent it to you, but you didn't seem to get it. So maybe I'll try and like play it on my phone and then play it on here. But it's this girl who has a service dog, right? And she attaches this like lead to the service dog, and then the service dog pulls this door, like a freezer door, open in the supermarket, and it takes ages. And I'm like, just pull the door open. What are you mad? Like, just pull the door open. And she's like, no. I just messaged this to her. I was like, that seems so ridiculous. Why don't you just pull it open? And she was like, my service dog is essential for my independence. I can't do things without her. And I'm like, mate, I think getting the strength to open that door on your own is way more important for your independence than this really silly, like, I'll show you the video. Although I am open to being wrong about this because it was definitely an unpopular comment.
I think, though, there's so many things that are inspirational or whatever that people do, and you're just like.
So she puts it on the door, and then the dog pulls it open, and then she goes in.
So she had to put it on the door?
She had to put it on the door.
So she can reach in to the freezer to get whatever item, but she can't pull the door open?
Yeah, I'll get it up close to the screen so you can see. Yeah, so look. She clips it to the door. She gets the dog to pull it.
Maybe it's because she can't hold the door open at the same time.
I have no idea.
She just opened it. She just grabbed it and opened it the rest of the way.
I know. I know.
What?
So I said
I'm
to her,
sorry. That's a weird video. She clipped it on herself. It was a carabiner. That thing you need
right?
dexterity for. So you clip it onto the door, and then when the dog doesn't open it all the way, then you open it the rest of the way, and you reach in and grab whatever it is, and you can't open a door that's like, it's like light. Those things are light. That's messed up. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Thank you.
That
I commented saying, you have full hand function. That seems like such a convoluted waste of time. Like, why don't you just pull the door open? And she's like, no, I need my service dog. It's essential for my independence, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, I think learning to open a door on your own is way more essential for your independence than relying on your dog to do everything. Like, what if you were away from your dog, you know, for whatever reason, you'd be screwed. Or I'm sure you'd find a way to open that door if you really wanted to. But the comments were really supportive, and I felt like a knob.
Yeah. I think people just don't know. Like, they just don't understand that some things are silly, right? I don't know. Like, I think that there was a comment on Facebook the other day about a lady and the guy was rude. So I don't agree with this restaurant, just for the record. It was a lady in my community who tried to take her service dog into a restaurant, and she was denied access to the restaurant because the restaurant was very full. And the guy was very rude to her and made her feel really bad about trying to bring her dog in. And he was like, there was a language barrier. And it was just an awful experience for her. So I think the experience was really bad. But I also have like this thing about dogs being allowed in every restaurant because they're service dogs, and service dogs being misused. Like, a lot of people, I even have a friend that would just like say his dog was a service dog. And because you have to, it's illegal to deny somebody access, they would just have to let the dog in, regardless of whether somebody was severely allergic to dogs, regardless of whether like somebody was afraid of dogs, or, you know, with like something that was making other patrons uncomfortable. And I understand that service dogs are trained and all of that stuff, but I have seen many people with disabilities just put a vest on their dog and say it's a service dog, and just be able to take their dog wherever they want. I think it's stupid. And so a bunch of people were like, I don't think you should be able to just take your dog anywhere. I think it's stupid that, you know, service dogs just to get to go in any restaurant anywhere. And I kind of agree a little bit. Like, it's a sanitation thing. You know what I mean? Like, if your dog is not actually like, you should have to show their license or something that says like, this is a licensed service dog. And if it is, great, because they are trained not to interfere with other people. They are trained not to like eat food off of people's plates and stuff. But if people do that, and it's like, you know, so I just think that like there's a lot of things that people, and yet the comments were all like, if somebody commented like, maybe you shouldn't be allowed to bring your dog, people will just jumped on the people like they were like, had no right to their opinion. And I'm like, you know what, if you were severely allergic to dogs and you went out to eat and somebody brought their service dog in and sat right beside you, and you had a serious allergic reaction, you were like itching all, you know what I mean? I'm like, that's probably pretty terrible. So I don't know. I think that people have valid opinions about certain things that people don't like.
Yeah. I didn't follow up with another comment. I just, because I don't know, I couldn't help myself with the first one, because I was like, what are you doing, lady? Just open the door. And then I just thought, you know what? The thing is, because I've engaged with that, she keeps popping up on my Facebook feed. I haven't followed her or anything. And she does like loads of stuff with her service dog. And I'm like, oh, I guess that's your thing. Like, you're like, I get, everyone's got their like little hustle, right? Not that it's a hustle, but like her niche for content is being in a wheelchair using a service dog.
Yeah.
So I don't know. This is a little controversial. I probably think she thinks that's a great bit of content. Look how clever my service dog is. And she gets a lot of feedback, like positive feedback from that.
Yeah.
But is it really necessary to open that door? I'm pretty sure you could open that door if that dog wasn't there. But that's her thing, you know. She's got the dog, and it's a clever dog, you know. I'm not saying but I agree with you with many like things. Like, a lot of people, I tried to do that before as well. Like when I had Luna, I was like, oh, we should put a vest on Luna and say it's a service dog. Did not get away with it. The vest did not look proper. And someone was just like, that's not a service dog. I was like, yeah, all right, it's not actually. Sorry. Tried to get it into a hotel. That was it. I remember now. We were at a hotel in the UK, and they were like, dogs allowed. I was like, it's a service dog. And they were like, is that really a service dog? I was like, No, it's not really a service dog. It's just got a little vest on it.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of, and this is just my personal opinion, I think there's a lot in like the world today where people have gone from equal rights to special rights, and it's like they take advantage of something that was meant to give somebody equal opportunity, and they're like, I get a special opportunity now. And I am totally guilty. I will say it right now. If somebody offers me a special opportunity and it's not equal, I usually take it. If somebody is offering me to go into a concert venue early or skip the queue or something like that, I will take it. I don't try and seek out special opportunities, but if somebody gives me a special opportunity because of my wheelchair, I generally take it. But I think that there are a lot of people who genuinely seek out special opportunities and want to be treated special instead of equal. Like there's a difference between equal and special. And yeah, it just kind of bugs me now because I'm just like, we should be equal in terms of equal opportunity. And sometimes that requires us having special circumstances to get an equal opportunity. And there's still a lot of times where we don't get equal stuff. Like if flight travel is sucky still, there's no bathroom and, that kind of stuff. So a lot of stuff is still really backwards. But I do think that there's plenty of people out there capitalizing on the inspiration that their wheelchair, I guess, affords, and just it's unnecessary.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with you. You just reminded me of like last week when we did the podcast. Afterwards, I went out for St. Patrick's Day to a pub, and I made a video about it. How like it was really awkward for me to get around in a busy pub on St. Patrick's Day in a wheelchair. It was a really undesirable place to be. But that video got loads of engagement, loads of comments, and people were like, oh my God, I know exactly what you mean. It's a bloody nightmare. And you just reminded me that I wanted to chat to you about it because I thought it'd be a really good thing to talk about on the podcast. Yeah. Because obviously you've had that situation before, right? Like how, being in a busy place, being 4 foot tall when everyone else is, sort of just, and then they turn around and they're like, oh shit, sorry, I didn't see you there. I'm like, of course you didn't. Who the hell is going to sit down in a place like this? You feel really in the way. And for those of you guys that didn't watch the video, I was just explaining how I felt very, very much in the way. I saw an opportunity to get out the way. And then my friend very kindly ushered me out of the door. But then when I went outside, he mistakenly thought I was leaving. So he was like, see you later, mate. And then he went back in. And then I was just sort of like looking in like, oh, but I still want to be here. But now I'm outside. But at least I'm not in the way. And I felt very excluded. And I wondered whether it was self-imposed or if it was just me getting the wheelchair out of the way, getting myself out the way. So anyway, let's discuss.
I think that a lot of it is self-imposed in terms of what we're thinking about our wheelchair, in terms of what we think other people are thinking. But I also think that a lot of it is environmental and just situational that isn't self-imposed. Like I think that there are crowded areas that we are in the way of. We are cutting people off at the knees essentially, which is it's not fun when somebody backs up and they're like, whoa, and they're like tripping over you backwards. It's not fun when somebody can't hear you and you're not at their eye level or ear level to be like, excuse me. So you're forced to touch them gently on the back or the back of the leg. It's really weird. And then they turn around ready to punch you and they're like, oh my God, you're in a wheelchair. There are so many situations like that where I've had people turn around and be like, what the fuck? Oh, I'm sorry. And you're just like, I didn't mean to I touch you intimately to say, excuse me. It's very weird. So that video, I was 100% everything you were saying. I was relatable. Cause that's what it's like, especially if you're in a bar or a pub that is standing room only. There's no tables, there's no chairs, there's no aisles. It's just people standing, talking, drinking, dancing, and you're in the way for all of it, trying to get to, maybe not even accessible bathroom. And it's just weird. Drunk people. Yeah,
I completely agree. There was this one bit where I was sat chatting to some work colleagues and I was like, oh, amazing. I'm finally sort of I was still right in the way, but I'm engaged in a conversation and we're chatting. And then all of a sudden the band stopped playing. So I found myself in a heavy foot traffic sort of passageway, and I was like, oh shit, I am if I didn't feel in the way before, I am very much in the way now, and kept constantly getting like kicked and tripped over. So I was like, I really need to move from here. And that's when I accidentally left.
Yeah.
My friend was doing his best he could. Like he's a really lovely guy. He's like, excuse me guys. And then he just like, see you later. And then just went back in. And I was like, oh man, what the hell? That's not what I meant. And now I'm outside and everyone else is inside. And at least I'm not getting kicked, but like I'm out of the way. And I'm kind of, I really, and then to be honest, I think if I could go back in time, with hindsight, I'd have just went back in. I'd have been like, hey, Dan, sorry, I wasn't leaving. I just wanted to get out of the way. Like maybe you could make room for me. And I could rejoin the group of friends that I'm with. That would have probably been, but hindsight's always 2020, right? So.
Well, and you always are like weighing, do I go in an awkward situation and make it even more awkward? Or do I just be like, I'm going to leave for whatever it is? I had like an experience like that, like, I don't know, it was probably 8 months ago. I went out to a bar and I hated it at first because it was so busy. Couldn't get to the bathroom. It was a standing room only. I was trying to get to the dance floor. The dance floor was entirely full. So we basically sat in the entrance of the dance floor, which was in between two pillars. It was me and 4 other friends in wheelchairs. So we were like already a spectacle.
Oh,
it was like, it was weird. And then some other guy in a wheelchair was just like, people in wheelchairs, I'm going to go sit with them. Didn't even know this guy. And then like a friend of mine came up to me that recognized me and introduced himself, like said, hey, how are you? And then introduced himself to the guy in the wheelchair that was sitting beside us that I didn't even know. And I was like, I'm not with him. He's like, oh my God, I just introduced myself to somebody in a wheelchair that I assumed was your friend. It was such a weird experience. But then once I like just ignored all that stuff and started like dancing and listening to the music, I had so much fun. And like multiple dozens of people, like it was probably like 20 people that came up to us and was like, oh, you guys are so inspirational for getting out. And we're like, we're not from a group home. Like it was just like, it was weird. And so you get those experiences though. You're just like, they think we're on a day pass. Like,
yeah.
So dumb. It's horrible.
It's a big day out from the group home. That's hilarious. Oh my God. I wonder if when I was able-bodied, I would have thought the same thing. Perhaps I would have put my foot in it and said something similar.
Oh, it's terrible though. And I'm like, they're drunk and they're nice and they're coming up to you to like give you a compliment. But like the compliment is like, good on you for getting out, you left the house today. Great. And you're just like,
yeah.
Oh my God.
And to be fair, sometimes that does need a pat on the back. You're right. I did leave the house today. Cheers, bro.
Exactly. I know. That's what I mean. So like, it's almost like appropriate. It's so awkwardly appropriate that you're just like, oh, it's so weird. But yeah,
it's equally appropriate and patronizing at the same time.
Exactly. Yeah. You're just like, oh my God. Yeah, it's just a weird experience. And I think if you go to a place more often, then it's less awkward.
What do you respond with?
Generally, because I'm non-confrontational ever, I'm just like, thanks, nice to meet you. Yeah. That kind of thing. Just kindness, because It's not worth it to be a jerk to somebody that A, is drunk, and B, is obliviously trying to be kind. So I'm just whatever.
Yeah, exactly. I would just kind of respond with kindness as well, because it's the intention is kind. It's like, oh, good on you, well done, and also they're drunk, like they're not thinking, they're just like, way, you don't need anything that special for a drunk guy to be like, way, good on you. You could just like high five him. You're like, yeah, fucking good on you, mate. So yeah, it's a little bit patronizing, but at the same time, it is what it is. It is what it is. It's funny, but that is funny though that you were with 5 people in a wheelchair in the end, and everyone, because of course, like when you're the only guy in a wheelchair, like you're the wheelchair guy.
Yeah.
But when you're, of course you'll, I mean, it must be, I'll be honest with you. I'm going to give the able-bodied people a little bit of like leeway. It does look like you probably all arrived together from maybe the same place. Who knows?
Yeah. They totally think it's like, something special. Like I went to visit a girlfriend in a city close to me. She was visiting from across Canada because she lives across Canada. And so a bunch of women from Alberta, where I'm from, went to visit her. And so there was 5 women in wheelchairs eating lunch, going places. And a photographer like came up to us and was like, "Can I take your picture?" And we're like, "Why?" And he was like, "It's just so cool to see you guys all together." And I'm like, "What, 5 women?" And he just like didn't know what to say because it was like, it's just so cool to see 5 wheelchairs in one place. Like I've had so many of those experiences when you're just in a group of wheelchairs and people are like, "What? This is so cool." And so we got our picture taken, and it's somewhere on this guy's portfolio of 5 women in wheelchairs. And it's just funny.
Yeah, that is kind of funny.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think that I was really, really stoked that that video got, because I knew as soon as it happened, well, actually, it wasn't that when it happened. It's when I was journaling about it the next day. I was like journaling about it, and I was like, "Oh, I could probably make a video for the Patreon about this." And I was like, "Oh, actually, no, I could make a really good video. I think this would be like relatable." So and the amount of people that were like, "Oh my god, yes, mate." That I feel the same way. I feel like it's a very ubiquitous thing for wheelchair users to feel. It's very out of place in standing only areas, but it's not necessarily, exclusive, like exclusively exclusive. It's just, most people, if they can stand up, they'll stand up. So yeah, you just feel like a knob though, just sat down in a sea of people that are standing up. But yeah,
I think it's very similar in a very small house. If you've ever been in a really small house where you feel in the way and there's nowhere to be other than in the way, it's so weird. Because there's like couches and stuff where other able-bodied people are sitting, but you're in the middle of the room and you're just kind of in the way. So I think it was a good video because there's some experiences that are extremely relatable and so vivid in terms of like how they made you feel that, I don't know. It was just a good video because it's hard sometimes to relate to other people. But when you have something that is so like vividly relatable and you talk about it, then it's just like, it brings you into that experience. Like immediately I went back to the bar when you were talking about it and it was just like, yep, like every single thing that you were talking about happened to me.
Yeah, that's funny.
That's
funny. You are making plans to go to Disney. Is that right? Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah. Talk about feeling in the way. I'm wondering if it's going to feel like that at Disneyland when I'm getting on rides, because you're holding up the crowd, so to speak, to get on the ride.
Have you been before?
No, I've never been before. And Joe and Jacob, because it's actually a boxing trip with Jacob's boxing team. So they are going to Vegas. So Joe and Jacob are flying to Vegas, and then Jamie and I are flying to Anaheim to meet them. So we're flying solo, and then we'll go rent a car, which is another experience in and of itself, because every damn time I rent a car, they upgrade me to something I can't transfer into. And I'm like, every other person would be so thrilled that they got, a Suburban, a giant SUV with so much more room. But I'm like, please do not upgrade me. So I'm going to actually make a video recording my call to the rental car place and just showing how you rent a vehicle with hand controls, a spinner knob, the right size, and all of that stuff. And then I'm going to report, like, when I go, to see if I actually get the right car this time. Because every time I get the wrong frigging car. And luckily, every other time I've rented a car, I've been with my cousins, my 2 like girl cousins that I go on girls trips with. So they've just been able to drive. And my one cousin is like buff, so she just lifts me in.
Nice.
But this time I'm just going with Jamie, and I have to be able to get everywhere myself because Joe is driving the van for the boxing club that is going. So I have to drive myself around. So I need to be able to drive by myself. And so I'm really worried about that. So that is the biggest thing that I'm kind of worried about. I'm never really worried about hotels because I can get almost anywhere. I'm pretty like independent in any situation in a hotel, as long as there's an elevator and I can get to the hotel room. But yeah, the bathroom situation I'm worried about in Disneyland. So I'm like going to scope out like every bathroom. And I know you can get like a card where you like leave line to go to the bathroom and then come back. Cause I pee so often.
Yeah.
So I'm like worried about those kinds of things, but yeah, other than that, not really. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I'm going to react on rides because I've never really gone on rides since being paralyzed, and I get like physically sick if I spin around like 3 times in my wheelchair, like just doing a spin. So I'm like, am I going to puke? So I don't know. I'm going to start on like the most gentle ride possible, and see what that's like. But yeah, I'm excited to go just because it's the most accessible theme park in the world.
Oh, nice. That's good. That's great. I had a question. Are you going to take a cushion for your bum? Because like you have to sit on the plastic seats, right?
I do. So I don't know that I'm going to use it. So I have a cushion that I ordered that straps to your bum. It's like one that straps to your legs and your bum, and you strap it to your
Yeah.
waist and your legs. And it's called like, I can't remember what it's called, but I ordered it and I'm like, it's kind of weird because if you wear it while in your wheelchair sitting on another cushion, then you're like awkwardly high.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
sitting
Yeah.
too high. And if you don't sit in another cushion, then you're sitting awkwardly low. So I'm like, it's
Mm.
just kind of an uncomfortable thing. So I think I'll probably just take my cushion off, like, because I'll get Jacob to lift me or Joe to lift me or somebody. I think, unless I'm going on rides with Jamie. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe I'll like fashion a cushion that I can bring that straps to Jamie's backpack because she's going to be wearing a backpack. So maybe I'll
Sure.
try and figure that out. That is a good idea though, because if I'm getting on the rides by myself and Joe and Jacob are elsewhere in the theme park and I'm just with Jamie, then she's not lifting me. So I'm lifting myself. So I have to be able to have a cushion that I can put down on the thing. Hadn't thought of that. So I'll probably try and figure something like that out. Yeah.
So might I suggest either a regular cushion because like a pillow, because like you can just carry that on your lap, and then because the pillow, cause sometimes the seats are awkward. So my experience going on the luge up in Leger, which is essentially a roller coaster, I transferred in, but obviously the seat was hard. But the seat cushion, if I put my seat cushion from my wheelchair, it's awkward. It doesn't fit the groove, right? And I got an actual pillow from my bed. Poof, it just molds, and then you just sit on it, and it's soft and it's great, and it doesn't take up. I could also maybe suggest an inflatable pillow, like if you had that, like, because then that wouldn't take up much room, and then you could have it like underinflated. That might help. But I honestly, I just took a pillow from my bed and chucked that on the seat, and that worked brilliantly. So that's just a
Yeah, so
suggestion.
maybe I'll just get like a small pillow that we can just like stuff in the straps of the backpack or something. Yeah, maybe I'll ask other people like what they've done in terms of like going to Disneyland, because if I have to be trekking around all day, but a pillow, like you say, something that molds to the
Yeah.
actual seat sounds like, a better solution. Yeah, well, I'm going to probably do a video about it. I'm just trying to figure out, because I don't want to do like, this is my review of Disneyland, because I'm so hectic like when I travel
Yeah. Yeah.
that I'm never organized enough and I'm always just like all over the place. But I'll try my best to get some footage of the trip. I definitely am going to do like preparing for the trip and the video about like renting the car and stuff like that, because I've done a video on all the rental places that you can get hand controls at, but I've never actually done a video showing how the process works. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I think you should just get lots of B-roll. Like for example, when you're transferring into the rides, get a bit of B-roll, and then just do a voiceover. Just make notes of like this was you can make voice notes on your phone. This was a bit of a ball ache because this was easy because, and then you could just put a
true.
video together a lot easier that way, rather than being like, oh hey guys, this is me trying to get in the seat at Disney. It'd be like quite awkward.
Yeah, that is true. It's kind of how I did the review of the hotel in Mexico. Like I just got a crap ton of B-roll, but I do think making a list, like a shot list, is important, because when I did the review of the hotel, I never thought to get one video of how I was getting in the pool. And I was like,
Mm.
that's important for people to see because there was no pool lifts or anything. So yeah, I'm going to make a shot list. If anybody has suggestions on things that they would like to see of Disneyland in terms of accessibility or whatever, then I'll try and shoot those specific things. So Yeah, send me a DM or an email with those things. I'm never on Instagram anymore, so don't message me there. Like I got rid of social media on my phone, which has been really nice because I've read so much, and now I play like brain games if I'm like really bored and want to be on my phone.
Nice.
Yeah. So I'll update everybody as I get ready to go.
Also, if anyone has any suggestions of like different cushions that you can take to, you know, if they've been to Disneyland and what it's like sitting on the seats and how to protect your bum, chuck that in the comments as well, because I think that's a good resource for info.
Jim says, who will look after your chair? I have no idea. I don't know how that works because I'm assuming the end of the ride, or no, it's probably at the same place as the beginning of the ride. I don't know.
I'm sure it'll be fine.
I'm assuming it's the ride attendants that look after your chair. I think they would get in. I've never heard of anybody's wheelchair getting like damaged or stolen at Disneyland, but yeah.
I'm sure it'll be all right.
I'm just gonna see if there's one thing that I missed, maybe that I wanted to.
So we normally end with a little magic trick.
Yeah, let's do that.
But to be honest, I was going to learn a magic trick the other day, and instead I got distracted. This is how my brain works, right? I've had this Rubik's Cube for ages, and then all of a sudden, instead of like learning this magic trick that I was going to learn, I learned how to solve a Rubik's Cube instead. But oh my God, let me tell you how insanely satisfying it was. I'll give you Exhibit A right here. Hello, ladies. I know that it comes solved, but trust me, I did it. I also made a little YouTube video. Oh, I made a Patreon video about, or touched on it, but insanely satisfying. So I've never been able to do this. I saw a YouTube tutorial about like how to start, all the little different steps that you have to do. But that's the only thing I learned. So I don't really know how the Rubik's Cube works. I just know how to solve it sequentially from the beginning. So if I messed up, like, for example, like right near the end, the only way I knew how to do it was to start from the beginning. So it took hours and hours. And then finally, I did it at work because it's like quite quiet at work now. So I took it to work, and then all of a sudden I was like, fuck it, I've done it! Whee! And everyone was like, what are you up to? And I was like, I fucking did it! So I was so stoked. On the level of satisfaction, I would say it was about 11 out of 10. Like how like satisfying it was to actually finally nail it. So I've actually finally solved a Rubik's Cube, and I don't think there's many people in the world that can say that they've done that. So yeah, there you go. Yeah,
but so did you figure out how to do it non-sequentially then?
No, I just kept starting again from the beginning when I messed up.
So, but how, like, you can't start, don't you just mess it up randomly? Like, there's no beginning. I'm so confused.
Right, so I've got some little notes here. So basically, firstly, you've got to start with the yellow daisy. So you've got to get all you start with the yellow square in the middle and the white squares. The YouTube video that taught me it was designed for kids, right? So it's very, very funny. It's like you start with the yellow daisy, and then you've got to line up the sides so they match, and then you rip the petals off the daisy, and then you've got to find the dogs, and then the shepherds come down to collect the dogs. And I'm like, okay, and then you've got to get the furry yellow cross, because the fur is like a little algorithm, which is FURURF, which is front, up, right, clockwise, and then up, right, front, anti-clockwise, which is... Well, anyway, it's all these little, and there's a funny thing, like there's a little mnemonic. It's like away, bottom, column down, delicious sandwich, everything up, fix your whites. So it's like A, B, C, D, E, F. Yeah. But it's really weird because like I was mumbling into my Rubik's Cube at work, and I'm going delicious sandwich, fix your whites, and like Holly was like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Mate, I'm nearly there." So yeah, I finally solved the Rubik's Cube. So I don't have a magic trick. But I did solve this.
Do you suppose that I should try it? Is it like...
Have you got one?
No, I don't have one, but I'll buy one.
Honestly, I thought it was amazing. Like learning how... Yeah, it just entertained me for hours. And then I messed it up, and then I solved it. Again, like the second time solving it was actually really hard. I was like, oh, I've done it once now. Again, it was still hard remembering all the steps in sequential order. But yeah, and then I did it again last night, and I was like, hey, I did it again. Like, and I'm so, honestly, it was, I know it sounds weird, but I think like, honestly, anytime I'm like doing something that's not just mindlessly looking at my phone, I feel like it's a win. I've overcome the algorithm. I've overcome the draw of like YouTube. And I've done something that's like analog, like even though it was, via a YouTube tutorial, I was like, hey, I solved something. I did something that wasn't, that took brain power. And my friend Holly at work, she was like, dude, why don't you just give up? And I was like, Holly, it's not about that. In fact, this is like a metaphor for life. I was like, if you don't know the steps and you don't break it down into smaller steps, of course you'd give up, right? But you've got to break it down into smaller steps, and then ultimately you get this wonderful satisfaction from achieving, what would be impossible like 2 days ago. Yeah. So I felt amazing. So I would highly recommend it. If you got time, go solve a Rubik's Cube.
I always think about the people who didn't have YouTube. Do you know what I mean? Like, how did the people figure this shit out that didn't have somebody to tell them the steps? Like, those people have like crazy ass mind, things that they can see patterns, and they do it enough that they see patterns. But I'm like, that's crazy. I remember there was like it was like a brain game thing that my parents got us when we were little. And I think I was like maybe in 4th grade. And then I figured out all the steps to it. And then it was just about how fast I could do it. So it was like this thing that had one space, and it was all these little bow ties that had to be turned a certain way. And there was only one space that the bow tie could be turned vertically. And in order, you had to get this little thing out of the center insert that it was in order to, the bow ties all had to be horizontal in order to get it out. And it was like so hard. And then I figured it out, and I bet you I could still do it. Like, I bet you my fingers would still remember how to do it. It's one of those things that I did it so many times that the steps just became like ingrained in my physiology. And I bet you that's how the Rubik's Cube is too, if you do it enough. Because there's people that like, there's like 12-year-olds on YouTube or TikTok that are like, and they like do it in like 2 seconds.
Yeah, exactly. They're the real G's, like when it comes to Rubik's Cube. But to be honest, on your point, the Rubik's Cube does come with instructions. So like when you buy a Rubik's Cube, it comes with instructions on how to solve it. Like it's not just like, you just mess it up and then you're like, well, here you go. You're like, it would be impossible. It has to have instructions. There's like certain algorithms that you do to.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. I found it incredible. I'm not guaranteeing that everyone's going to have the same level of satisfaction, but I was over the moon. I was on cloud 9 for like a good 5 minutes, like just loving it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. This person had a really good suggestion. I use a neck cushion to sit on, which is actually pretty smart, because all you need is like, your IT bones, your tailbone, and then your other, and it's so small. So I think I might take that suggestion, because that's pretty good. That seems like I was going to suggest that.
Yeah, that's an inflatable one, which packs down like really small, but you can inflate it, or or maybe just have one that's not. Yeah, and then you can just carry it around your neck.
True. And I could just like stick it with a clip, like she said, on the backpack. So I think I might take that suggestion. That was a very good suggestion. Thanks for that. I am just going to, can you guys stay on an hour longer? This comment, I can't stay on an hour longer because I actually have to work in exactly an hour. I'm teaching grade 4, I think.
Oh, cool.
And I hate that the school that I'm teaching in, I hate elevators in schools. And there's 2 schools now, actually 3 schools now that have elevators in the division that I teach in. And so I'm teaching grade 4, and like probably like 4 of the blocks that I'm teaching, I have to take kids up and down the stairs. And I'm like, so then I'm like in the classroom, I'm counting heads, and I'm like, you guys go down the stairs. I'll meet you at the bottom of the elevator. And I hate it when it's little kids, like grade 1 or kindergarten. Like, I'm just like, wherever you send those little children as a group of 30 down the stairs and hope none of them get lost or, fall down the stairs. I hate it. I'm like, don't put elevators in schools. And if you do, put the kids that are very little that need to go to the gym and the library and recess on the level that all those things are on, because it's such a pain in the ass for a teacher in a wheelchair. I hate it. I'm like, it's just one of those things that you don't think about. But so that's what I'm doing in 1 hour exactly. I have to go watch kids eat lunch for the teacher because he has to get to an appointment. So
nice. I'm a little bit jealous. I feel like your job is must get so much satisfaction from being a teacher. I think that's amazing.
I really do like my job. Some days I hate my job because some days is really exhausting and some kids are very challenging. The other day I had a horrible day because I was teaching. It was fine. The kids were fine. They were all grade 4. It was grade 4, 5, 6, but I was teaching French class. And so it was very confusing, the lessons that the teacher left me for teaching French. Once I figured it out, one of the grade 5 kids was like, I think I figured it out. I'm like, God, thank God for you, because I was very confused. So once one of the kids figured it out for me, we got along fine. And then at the end of the day, I was supposed to do supervision. And these were no joke, the instructions that the teacher sent for me. I've never been to this school before because I haven't taught there. Well, I have been there like once or twice before, but I haven't taught there in a really long time. So she goes, oh, by the way, you have after school supervision at the kindergarten doors. You have to go down to where the kinders are, and you have to get Zayden, and don't let him out of your sight, and take him to his bus. And if his bus is late, you have to radio to the office. I don't know doesn't know what teacher this kid belongs to, don't know the room number, don't know where the kindergarten wing is, don't know the bus number he has to get on, don't even know where the bus loop is, don't any of that stuff. So I'm like, okay, I like message her. I'm like, I need a little bit more information. So then she gives it to me. I go scoping it out. It's not wheelchair accessible because where the buses are is full of snow. So I go into the office. I'm like, I find the kid's teacher. I'm like, I'm not sure I can get out there. She's like, you can't. No, this kid is not. He's not. You need to be able to run after him. So you can't do this. So then I go to the office and I'm like, apparently I'm not a safe, supervisor for this child. It was just awful. I felt horrible. I'm like, I am in a wheelchair. I can't do this part of the job. It was dumb. And then I got stuck going into the school because they hadn't shoveled their curb cut and it was full of snow. And then on my way out, I was trying to go across the curb cut and there was a bunch of parents waiting, having like picked up their kids, and somebody honked at me because I wasn't going fast enough across the crosswalk. What? And I was stuck in the snow and I was like, oh, I'm like, it was a day. So I'm like, some days are like that. And then some days are awesome. Thankfully, that day, one of the kids that I had taught like 4 years before came into the classroom, like knocked on the door and remembered me. And he was like, you were my favorite sub ever. You were my favorite teacher. And I was like, oh my God, that's awesome. But yeah, some days are really hard. And then, most days are amazing. I'm pretty good at my job. I'm not going to lie. I really like kids and kids seem to really like me. So yeah.
That sounds an incredibly rewarding job, but also there are some challenges, but I like challenges. I think it's cool.
Yeah. It's mostly the teachers that leave you instructions that don't make any sense, or that, you're just like, I need to know more information than that if I'm going to be doing whatever you're telling me to do.
Sounds like Zayden's fault to me.
Yeah, that kid who runs away from people in kindergarten. If I had to do it, I probably would have told him to push me. I would have been like, you know what, buddy? I am going to get stuck out there. I really need your help. Can you hold on to my push handles the whole way? And he would have been like, absolutely, I got this. If you give like a kid who is like challenging, if you're like, can you push me? And most of the time kids are awesome. I had to get kids to bump me up and down this like platform to get in and out of the school the other day. And they both did horribly. I almost fell out of my wheelchair, but I didn't make them feel like that. They were like bumping me, and instead of like bumping me down like sort of backwards, and he just kind of like went straight off, and so it like bumped forward. Yeah, but they're really good. Kids are awesome, and yeah, so
nice.
Yeah. You look like you have to pee. You've had to pee for like so long.
I was just thinking though, like I like to think of myself as a bit of a colorful character, right?
Oh my God! Is there a wheelchair on that? Is that a Joker in a wheelchair?
He's on a bike.
I thought it was in a wheelchair. Okay, I thought
that would be cool though, right? But
I
feel like I'm quite a colorful character. But have you ever and a bit of a joker? But have you ever told a joke sometimes and then it doesn't land, and then all of a sudden, like just like that, you just like the color just drains from your face, and you just all of a sudden just feel a bit pale.
I don't know how you do this stuff. I was telling Joe about the thing that you did the last time, and I was like, he drew pictures, and then he gave me random. I said I could just pick anything I wanted, and I was like, how does he do it? And Joe was like, I don't know. Why are you asking me? And I was like, it's so cool though. And I was like, I probably sound like such a retard because I'm like so excited about these things, but I just don't get it. It's awesome.
So I actually just freestyled that one because I was like, oh, I don't have a magic trick for you. But then I was like, oh, I know I could do something with a couple of cards. So that was actually like quite cool that I could just do that like kind of almost impromptu. I'm getting that good, you know.
That is
magic.
amazing. Wow, that's really cool. I think that's a great note to end on. I'll let you guys know how this great grade 4 teaching goes next time with the elevator.
Yeah. Just wanted to say real quick, well, I was writing down in my journal about this magic trick, this magic routine I did the other day that like I got the best reaction ever. And I literally wrote down between this and Brittany's reaction on the podcast, that was the best reactions ever. Like, you are such a great person to do magic to, because you're always like, oh my God, that's amazing. And I love it. So that's really cool. Yeah,
seriously,
anyway,
magic is my favorite. I've gone to, like, when I go to Vegas and stuff, I always pick a magic show because I love it so much. So yeah, if we ever meet in person, you can test them all on me.
Oh, I'd love. Some of them are only really doable in person. And again, like sometimes, like I've said this before, but you can't practice. You have to perform them. So the other day, again, I said this in the video on Patreon, but like the girl was, for her, that was real magic. That was real magic. She was blown away. She was like, I cannot believe, you know, it was just a thing. It was a beautiful, beautiful routine I've been working on, and I loved it. It fills me up. I love it. So yeah.
I think that's so cool. Like, the reactions are the best. When you get a genuine, heartfelt reaction from somebody, that's what you do it for, right?
Yeah.
To bring joy to people. You don't do it to trick people or to deceive them. You do it to bring joy to people. And you know, that's why I love to watch magic, because I that suspension of disbelief. Like, I want to be wowed. I want to feel like there's magic in the world. And if you can deliver that, that's a gift. So keep doing it.
I'll try every week, a new one.
All righty. Well, can't wait to see what you have for me next week.
Thanks. Right. See you guys. I'm going to get back to shuffling some things around my house.
Yeah. Good luck with that.
We'll see you next week.
Bye, everyone.
I hate doing this all the time, but like, check out the Patreon if you want a chance to win the bag, and just check out it anyway, because it's rad and it's free.
True. Sorry, I forgot to mention this. I am doing my like quarterly Empowered Para Zoom hangout on my Patreon. It is for my $10 tier. So I'm sorry if you know, are on the free or the $2 paid tier or $2 tier. But yeah, it's $10 tier. And if you want to sign up like today or tomorrow or Wednesday, then you can join the Zoom, and we're painting each other. We're painting or drawing each other. So we're going to pair up and we're going to paint or draw each other. And I'm awful. So it's going to be hilarious.
What day is it?
It's on Thursday evening at 5 p.m.
Stupid o'clock in the morning.
It's stupid o'clock in the morning for you. It's like 2 in the morning for you.
I would love to do that.
I'm gonna actually, like, I might change it to a weekend just for you, so that it's like earlier. So I might change the date and time of the next one. The next one is like a couples Q&A with me and Joe. But this one we're painting each other. So
yeah, all right, cool. I would love to join in on that. That sounds great.
Yeah.
If not, we'll do one on my Patreon at a time that's more convenient for me.
Exactly.
All right. Big love, everybody. See you in the next video next week. All right. Peace and love. And see you again. Bye.